Listen, some people go through life thinking that confrontation is a bad thing. I'm going to propose that it isn't. In fact, the truth is very, very different. We kind of grow through challenge in life. I heard a story a number of years ago I want to share with you here, and it was to do with how it is that lobsters grow. Lobsters grow, they're swimming around in the ocean, and when they experience a bit of tightness or tension on their physical bodies, they take this as an indication to go down to the bottom of the ocean, the seabed, crawl in amongst a few rocks, and crawl or climb out of and disregard their shell. What lobsters know is when they start feeling tension and pressure on their physical body, they've become too big for the shell. So what they do, they crawl out and they wait there for however long it takes to grow back a larger shell. This might take a few weeks, a month, whatever it's going to be. And then the lobster comes out from outside of the rocks and goes swimming about. Now he has to go down and protect himself in the season so he doesn't get eaten by another sea creature, all right? He doesn't want to end up on someone's dinner plate. So he's now swimming about again, and he feels a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stress, a little bit of tension, and he knows that stress and pressure and tension is an indication that it's time for him to grow once more. So back he goes to the bottom of the seabed, he sheds his old shell, waits until a new one has formulated, then that's him back out again. And this is how, for lobsters, the process of personal growth continues, all right? It's just as well, isn't it, that lobsters don't take the same attitude and approach to personal growth as what many human beings do. Because human beings experience a little bit of pressure, a little bit of tension, a little bit of stress in life. Then they go to the doctors, they take 6 months off sick. A general practitioner or a mental health professional will say, you have generalized stress disorder or something like this. They'll get prescribed some temazepam or some other pharmaceutical from the doctors, and then that's it. They go home, fester, feel sorry, have a pity party for 6 months, and don't grow. That's what humans do. Just as well, lobsters don't follow the same pattern. All right, so gives us a little bit of context here. I want to help you to appreciate your mindset. I don't know if you're a gym goer, but you can spend the rest of your days going down the gym pumping up your biceps, and that's fine, all right? I used to be a bit of a gym buff myself. I know what you're thinking. Kain, is that a 6-pack under your shirt, or is that a 12-pack? I think I've gone for a keg in recent years. So I say this because we experience life physically, and we can build up our muscles without building up our character. Without building up the fibres of our being, if that makes sense. So we've got to live life in a holistic, balanced way. We experience life physically, emotionally, rationally, volitionally, through choice, and spiritually. Spiritually is kind of who we are at the core. All right, when we take everything away, all the facade, all that sort of thing. So here, we're just solely going to focus on how it is that we experience life rationally inside of our minds. So going back to the communications model earlier on, we looked at the filtration system. Remember, the mind that makes generalizations, deletions, and distortions. Let's unpack that just a little bit, because I want you to understand this. I don't want to bombard you with really complex ideas, just practical stuff that you can relate to. All right? Otherwise, I really don't think I'd be serving you too much as a teacher. So let us have a look differentiating between fixed mindsets and growth-orientated thinking styles. So, the fixed mindset, how would you identify a person who is fixed in their thinking? They might very well assume that their abilities are fixed, that they are unable to learn, grow, improve. Now, many people go through life with their main experience of education ending the day they leave school. Sadly, for some people, the way in which the education system is structured these days, it was geared up to prepare a workforce for industry over 200 years ago. But obviously over the last 25 years, we've entered into the information era. We're now entering into the era of wisdom, because wisdom is very, very different from just receiving dry PowerPoints and information. I'm hoping to lead you by example in this. Some people go through school, and because they're not able to retain information in the same way that everyone else or other people retain information, they end up getting diagnosed with a mental disorder or a learning disability or something like this. Now, I was one of those people. When I went through school, I was diagnosed as being dyslexic. So essentially, when I left school, I was desperate to join the army at the age of 16, because my main learning from school was that I can't learn. I honestly believed that I'm stupid, I can't learn. So I wanted to get into the military so I could start driving my life forward professionally as soon as physically possible, because I essentially didn't believe that I could learn. No one told me otherwise. I was too busy having, labels and disorders placed on me. So I thought my abilities were fixed, and for this reason, I would quit easily. I remember going through school, walking out of one of my final exams. I'd got myself into such a panic. Sitting there, the exam paper was put down, and I don't think the questions I was being asked even registered. What became more prominent for me back then was the panic and the, oh, I'm a failure, I'm stupid, and if I take this exam and fail, it's just a further validation of how stupid I am, how dyslexic I am, so on and so forth. So I would quit easily, right? I would see problems as bad. I would see problems as problems, not opportunities to overcome or hurdles to grow through. I mean, think about what problems are, right? Problems are just areas in our life that we don't have effective systems or processes established in yet, right? Some people try to solve what they think are relational problems, but we can't have relationship problems. We can only have relationship tensions, all right? So when we learn how to, that when we're experiencing a problem that isn't relational, all we need is a strategy or a system or a process, and that's problem solved. And this is also true for learning, all right? It wasn't until later on in life I realized that the most effective way through which I learn is not by sitting mindlessly, listening to information being, spoken in my direction, but instead I learn most effectively by speaking out what it is that I'm seeing and sensing. I just have a different representational style. All right. So when I came to appreciate this, I thought, there are so many boys and girls and children in school who are still being undermined today. They're being labelled as ADHD and bipolar and this and that and the next thing because they're frustrated, not learning as effectively as what they could learn if they were given the time and the space and the encouragement to speak things out rather than sit quiet and just memorise information. All right, what I'm saying is that, it's not like the human race knows all that there is to know about learning right now. Far from it. In the same way that we're evolving as a species technologically, scientifically, we're evolving as a species in terms of understanding how it is that we're essentially structured as human beings, how it is that we absorb and retain information in the most effective ways. And this is one of the areas of focus of neuro-linguistic programming, because the mind gets programmed through education, but sometimes the mind gets programmed in unhelpful ways. So what we could be looking at here is neurological reprogramming instead of programming. We've already been programmed. We're already going through the process of programming. So if we want to take responsibility for our lives, we've got to understand how we're being programmed and, if necessary, reprogram ourselves by cutting out the ideologies and the perspectives that don't serve us and through replacing them with something more robust, something more helpful. Makes sense, all right? So some people become emotionally unstable. They will go through life off the I win, I lose mindset. You're bad to me, which therefore means I lose, or you're bad to me, I'm going to overpower you and dominate you and control you so that I win and so that you lose. Very childish, very immature. And you'll find many of those people operating in the boardroom and within a board of directors, right? People who will literally use professionalism as a facade to hide their own insecurity behind, for the purposes of being out on top so that they feel they've won in life. Not because they're passionate about doing what they're doing, and sometimes not even because they have any experience or competency in doing what they're doing, but just to mask their own insecurity. They're insecure because they've never expanded or grown out of this fixed mindset. I am who they say I am. I am the results I've had from my past. I am my failures. I am my learning disabilities. I am how I feel. I am what I think. I am my attitude. I am who mummy and daddy told me that I am. we have an opportunity to unlearn what we've learned and replace what we have learned in the past with something better, right? This is what personal growth is all about. So some people think they're limited. I'm limited, I can't do that, I can't do that. But I tried and I failed. What did Master Yoda have to say? Do you remember? And was it Return of the Jedi? Ah, Master Luke, there is no try. There is only do or don't do, all right? Which is a very different attitude from the fixed mindset. So let's have a look at growth, because this is what I am promoting. This is what we are advocates of. This is how it is that you get to improve the quality of your life right away by looking in a very different direction. And if you'll see how I've positioned these images on the board behind me, desired state was on that side of the board, growth mindset was on this side of the board. This is where we're at, but it's not where we're going. So growth mindset is where we start to ask ourselves questions. Are my abilities limited or are they unlimited? If my abilities are unlimited, then what am I missing right now? Am I missing skills? If so, how can I get new skills? How can I acquire new skills? Am I missing knowledge? Well, what knowledge do I want? Where can I get it from? Am I missing a strategy? Well, who has already got a result that I want to get in my life, and who can I go and learn this from? We're only one decision away from learning anything that we need to learn. Sometimes we just need to learn how it is that we best learn. Once we've learned how to learn, then there's nothing stopping us, which means that our abilities are unlimited. It's just our determination that will sometimes compromise our progress in life. So some people see problems to be solved, rather than barriers and obstacles to be crushed by, which is the fixed mindset. I had these experiences in the past and they crushed me, they undermined me, you've got no idea how hard it was. Wise people who are devoted to the process of personal growth look at problems and challenges and hurdles as opportunities for further personal growth. Ah, my goodness, a new challenge to overcome, a new problem to solve. Brilliant, I get to go and learn something new and become someone more. So people of a growth mindset become overcomers. Confident that it doesn't really matter whether you like me or dislike me today. And from your perspective, it won't matter whether they like or dislike you today, because who you are today isn't going to be who you become tomorrow. Who you become tomorrow is going to be a sharper, faster, more grounded, more mature version of who you are today, because you've already grown. So if a person decides today they don't like you, well, that's fine. Tomorrow you get to be someone else. And this is one of the beautiful things about the journey of personal growth. People decide we're bad, doesn't matter. We can let them go, and we can find those people who are already committed to the process of personal growth. Birds of a feather flock together. We want to keep company with those who are on the same or a similar journey as us, because if we don't, they end up becoming a noose around our neck that will keep us bound to fixed and small-mindedness. I improve with practice. The more I practice, I don't become perfect, I just become permanently better. And this is the beautiful thing, all right? Perfection isn't the prize here. Perfection is not the goal, all right? Permanently better is. Think about it. If your goal was just to become a permanently better version of you, then this means that you can become this permanently better version of you every single day. When your agenda is to become perfect, or get it right, or be the good boy, or be the good girl, or something like that, that's more of a destination, right? And how do you know when you're going to have reached perfection? Or how do you know when you're going to be eventually getting it right or wrong? And who is it that decides what's right or wrong? When our goal is just to become permanently better, this means that we can commit to the process of improving every single day, which means that if we can find a way of gauging and monitoring our own growth, we can see, today I've become a better version of me than what I was yesterday. That's progress. I'm getting closer to my ideal desired state. All right? Life doesn't have to be so complex. If we're of a growth mindset, then every hurdle, every challenge, every obstacle that comes our way is just another opportunity to grow. But when we're of a fixed mindset, every challenge and every hurdle and every rejection just becomes like a full stop. Growth mindset, challenges, hurdles, obstacles are just commas. You know the difference between commas allow us to pause for a second and then carry on, whereas full stops are the end of the sentence, the end of the road.